Hey friends, Katrina here with the Gen X Travel Sister. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you're new here, please be sure to like and subscribe and click that notification bell so that you can see more of my content. I'm here today to talk to you about my first ever cruise that I went on back in the summer. It's been a while, I know. I have not posted about it other than some videos that I shared that I put together for you all, and I hope you enjoyed those. But if you haven't seen them, I will be sure to link them again below so that you can take a look at them later. I had the best time ever on this cruise. Again, it was my very first one, and I have been trying to get on a cruise for a while now and finally just bit the bullet and did it. I originally was taking my husband with me, but he ended up deciding he didn't want to go, so I went with my family, and it was a multi-generational, and we just had the best time. Although I think if my husband would have went, he would have enjoyed it too. But we're getting him on one in September. We're going to Alaska, so more to come about that. Let me just start by saying this cruise was on the Norwegian Jade, and the Jade is actually an older ship, and it's a mid-sized ship, so it's not super big. And so I was a little bit worried about that and not knowing if I was going to feel the waves and the ocean more, but I really didn't. I mean, I could tell I was on a ship, but I had the scopolamine patches behind my ear, and those worked great for me. So yes, although I could feel the movement, it never made me nauseous. So that was great. If you have never tried those, definitely give those a try. So they did work great. But I did want to tell you a little bit about the Jade, and it is in the Jewel class of NCL, and it was built in 2006, and it has a capacity of 2,400 passengers. When you're comparing the size of the ship to the amount of people on the ship, it's relevant. Like, obviously, if you're going to be on a larger ship, I think you're going to run into the same thing no matter the size of the ship and the amount of passengers if it's at full capacity. And so it wasn't super overcrowded. There were places where it was crowded, like the Lido deck, for example. When we went out to the pool area, it was pretty crowded. But honestly, I was just in awe with everything. I didn't spend a whole lot of time at the pool. I probably would if it wouldn't have been my first cruise. I think just with everything being so new, I just wanted to see everything and experience everything. So I did not spend a whole lot of time at the pool. And then just getting off on the days that we were at port, I went to experience all those ports, and so that was great too. So anyway, a little bit more about the Jade. It has a gross tonnage of 93,558, and it's 965 feet long, and it was refurbished back in 2022. So honestly, it felt really nice. It had an intimate, relaxed atmosphere. It didn't have slides like the water slides. It didn't have a racetrack. It didn't have putt-putt golf. A lot of things it did not have that a lot of the other ships do. But I tell you what, I don't feel like I missed a thing. I just enjoyed going, and it also had some other activities though. It had some sports areas. It had a jogging track and some youth clubs. Although I did not bring my kids, and my kids are older, I wouldn't probably need the youth clubs, but they do have them. So if you are looking to go on the Jade and bring your children, they do have some things available. If it's a teenager, they may prefer the larger ships with all the other activities. There was a small game room on this ship, but again, if you just want a more intimate, relaxed feel, this is the perfect ship for you. Also, the Jade featured 12 restaurants. It had 6 specialty options, and it had some complimentary dining as well. And then some of the restaurants that include the Moderno, I can't say that word, Churrascaria, Le Bistro, and Le Cucina. And I will tell you, we did do Moderno's, which is I think it's the Brazilian restaurant, and it was fabulous. And then we also did La Cucina, which was also fabulous. So I do recommend both of those. I wanted to try Cagney's. Some of the other people in our group had already done Cagney's before, and so they wanted something different, and we wanted to eat with them. So we passed on Cagney's, but we do hope to try that when my husband and I go in September on the NCL Encore to Alaska. So he's a steak guy, and so am I. I like steak, and so we will be definitely trying that when we go at that time. It had 3 swimming pools, including a family outdoor pool. It did have a little bit of a water slide, but not anything major. Now, I will say this, on the Jade, it has a area for kids and adults, and then it also has an area just for adults. So that was nice, just to kind of have that little bit of separation from the kiddos if you didn't want the kiddos in your pool with you. And the time that we did go to the pool, we were on both sides, so the kids never really bothered us. But if you're wanting some time away from kids, there is a pool just for adults. We did not even get in a hot tub. I don't know why, but we didn't. But there were hot tubs on the ship. There's 7 of them. And then it does have a spa and a thermal suite. Now, we did not try any of those, or at least I didn't. My cousin, I did the massage at the spa, and so she really enjoyed that. As far as entertainment on the Jade, it did have Broadway production, comedy clubs, and dueling pianos. And then they had games, obviously. So we played bingo, we played Deal or No Deal, and we played Wheel of Fortune. So that was pretty fun. There were not formal nights on the Jade, although we made one night our formal night as a group. And we all dressed up in formal wear, and we even had our pictures made, and then we went to dinner. So that was the night that we went to Moderno's. And that was pretty fun. But on the Norwegian ships overall, there are not designated formal nights. So it's basically it's freestyle dining, I think is what they call it. And so you can go and eat, and you do need a reservation at the specialty restaurants. And it's better to have one even in the main dining room, just so you have a time, but you don't necessarily have to. You can go up and see if they have availability as well. I will say the dress code, it's pretty casual. You do not, like I mentioned earlier, you do not have to dress up. You could wear jeans and a nice shirt. I think one of the main dining rooms, they may not allow you to wear shorts in, but as long as you have on pants, just not shorts, you're gonna be fine. So it's pretty casual. And then also it does have 11 lounges and bars. It has a casino, of course. Now it has 1,201 staterooms for a maximum capacity of 2,882 passengers. The inside cabins range from 138 to 278 square feet. Haven Suite and villas can range from 440 to 4,719 square feet. Now, I was not in the Haven, obviously, but I did have a balcony cabin, and it was great. I mean, honestly, yes, it's small, but there were 3 women in my cabin, and it worked out great, honestly. We made it all work just fine. I do think having 3 people with a balcony was very helpful, because it did kind of give us that spread out room. In the bathroom, that was actually not bad either. When you do have to step up, when you step up into the bathroom area, you have your area where the sink was, and then the shower, which had a glass slide door. And then you also had another separate area for your toilet, which had a sliding door. So that was actually great. I do like that setup, mainly because if someone did actually have to get in and go to the bathroom, but someone else was in the shower or getting ready or whatever, they could still go in there if they needed to. Obviously, you know, I did like that setup. It was small, but it was great. Also, the shower had a pull across clothesline, so you could hang stuff in there to dry. But we also brought our magnet hooks, and we hung those actually in another part of the bathroom where it wasn't in the shower, because if you had to take a shower, you'd have to move the clothes that were drying. So we hung ours in a separate part of the bathroom so they could dry. And the flooring in there is all tile, or at least in our stateroom it was. And so if it did drip a little bit, it didn't hurt anything. I didn't really like the idea of wanting to hang my bathing suit out in the cabin area, because it's carpeted and you don't want water dripping on the carpet. So anyway, that was just my 2 cents worth. And then also, I do highly recommend the specialty dinings. The main dining rooms and the buffets were great also. They had the Garden Cafe. That was where the buffet was. And I'll be honest, it was crowded in there. But what we did was we found a sweet spot. Like if you walk through the Garden Cafe, get your food, and go all the way to the back towards the aft of the ship, there was usually plenty of seating back there. And then also, if you go outside and to the aft of the ship, There's another area out there with outdoor seating, and then there was also another bar area out there where you could go get a soda or you could go get other food items. So that was really nice, and the ice cream was back there in the back area of the Garden Cafe. They liked getting the ice cream, so it was really close to where we were sitting, so that was pretty handy. I did want to talk a little bit about our check-in process with this cruise and just kind of my experience and how that went. So about 21 days before my cruise, I got an email letting me know it was time to check in. Now, you can check in up to, I think, the day before. You can check in online up to the day before your cruise, or you can check in when you get there. However, it's best if you check in online, just because you can get an earlier boarding time rather than a later time. Whichever. I mean, either way, you can get a set time to check in, which is nice. So what I did was I went in and logged into my NCL account on the app, and then I checked in. I clicked the check-in button, or actually I think I clicked the check-in button from my email. So the email that it sent me, it let me just click it, and then I went in and I checked in. And it's gonna ask you for your passenger details. So what I did was I had to get the information from my cabin mates because I wanted us all to be able to check in at the same time. And then the other people that were in our group, they were also checking in together at the same time. So we did this at midnight, y'all. That was a little trick I learned, is if you want the earlier boarding times or a certain boarding time, then it's best to do it at midnight when the check-in opens. And so that's what we did. We waited up till midnight and we got in and we checked in. I made sure I had my cabin mates' credit card information, their passport information, because we all had passports, and then their, I think we had to have driver's license information maybe, and our boarding information. So anyway, our personal information, I'm sorry. So I went in and I put everything in there. And then, so the credit card, what that was for is you have to tie your cruise card or your onboard account that you'll get a cruise card for your onboard account when you board the ship. But you have to have some form of payment tied to that. I attached a credit card as well as my cabin mates. And so now there are other methods that you can use. You can use a debit card. However, that's not the recommended form of payment, just because they do put a hold on your account. And with a debit card, it says that let me look it up because I did not use my debit card. I want to kind of make sure I have this information correct for you. So it says, while checking in, you'll establish your method of payment, such as a credit card. You may also use your debit card. However, please be advised that NCL will obtain pre-authorization, as we do for all credit cards, and some banks hold these funds for up to 30 days. The maximum initial pre-authorization amount for all credit and debit cards is $300. So they will hold your debit card for $300 until they get all that pre-authorized. You can also use cash as a method of payment, and you have to do that with your initial deposit paid in advance. Like I said, we chose to use credit cards, and that worked perfectly for us. So then, now if you do use a cash deposit for your onboard account, 7-day cruises require a $300 per person cash deposit for your onboard account. If it's less than 7 days, it's $150 per person. And then if it's more than 7 days, it's $450 per person. So that's if you're going to use cash to put down on your onboard account. So it says once you've exceeded the deposit amount, your account's going to be closed to further charges. So then that's it. And you have to go add more money to your account as often as you like. And then it says refunds cannot be made until the day of disembarkation for any excess that you've paid on that. So that was my thing is I think my sister told me when she first cruised, she had put cash down. And I said, well, what happens if you don't spend it all? And she said at the end, they give you the difference back. So, or you can apply it to your next cruise, whichever. But anyway, the other thing I had to do was after I got checked in, and we had to send pictures. We had to upload a picture of ourselves so that they would have that as well at check-in. And then once you get checked in, you will need to download your documents. So that will be your boarding passes and your luggage tags. I made sure I printed mine and my cabin mates for them. And then I kept it in a folder with all my other stuff. And then when we got together at our destination on the day before we embarked on the cruise, I made sure I gave them all their information. Again, they could have checked in themselves. I know my cousin was traveling, so she wasn't able to do it. And then my niece was not able to because she had to be in bed that night early because she had to work the next day or had school or something. So I just did it for all three of us in our cabin. But yes, each person can do it individually. And again, it's ideal to do it all together so that you can all check in at the same time or get the same check-in time. Those documents will be emailed to you once you've checked. I don't think we got them immediately once we checked in as far as like a pop-up or anything. I think it just came in a separate email. Now, let's talk a little bit about embarkation day. We arrived in Cocoa Beach, or an area close to Cocoa Beach, which is where my cousin lives, who was going with us on the cruise, her and her husband. And so they graciously allowed us to stay at their home overnight, and we all got up and left the next morning to go to port. So that was very helpful, very handy, and it saved us all a lot of money. We stayed at her house, and yeah, she made room for us. I have a video showing how we all kind of were at her house. We all brought air mattresses. We were camped out everywhere at her house, but it worked. It was great. We had a good time. And also she had a pool, so that helped. So, and then she was across the street from the beach, so we just made it a fun time at her house the day before we cruised. The next morning, or actually the night before, we all took our luggage tags that we printed, and I had actually purchased, which a lot of others did too, some plastic luggage tag holders specifically for the NCL luggage tags. And we folded them up and we put them in there, and then they have these little loops. We were able to connect them to our luggage handle, and then our luggage tags were safe and secure. This helps when it's raining, because normally what you would do is you would just fold them up and they're paper, and some people even put tape on them, and then you fold them and you loop them through your luggage handle, and then you staple them. And I mean, that's pretty secure, don't get me wrong. They can also easily get cut off, or they could, if it's raining and if you didn't put tape on them, they could get ruined. So that's why I did opt to do the luggage tag holder, and I think it worked out great. I had no issue with them at all. And they're reusable, so I'll be using them again when I go to Alaska. And so we got all that together. And then the next morning we got up, and we were super excited. We were, in one of my other videos you'll see where we were all excited and dancing the next morning and just having a good old time. We took 2 vehicles to the port. So we had our cousin whose neighbor had a vehicle. They transported some of us, and then my cousin, he was able to transport the rest of us. And so we all loaded up and we headed to port. And y'all, it was only like 10-15 minutes, so it was very convenient. I can remember when we got there, I was just so amazed at that cruise port. I had never been to one. And I kept looking at all these ships. I was like, oh my gosh, look at how big these ships are. And so I was just super excited. You'll see in my videos how excited I was. When we saw the Jade, and all this time, you know, my cruise was booked for almost a year. And all this time I kept thinking, oh, it's a small ship. I'm just nervous wreck. I saw that ship, y'all. I was like, what? This is no small ship. So no, it was not small by any means. It was great. So now that I'm booked to go on the Encore for Alaska, I'm like, what? I can't even imagine how big that ship is gonna be. So I'm so excited about that. So anyway, when we got to the port, we dropped all of our luggage off with the porters and we tipped them. We made sure we took good care of our porters. My luggage, I overpacked. And I brought a large suitcase, medium suitcase, and a backpack. And it was loaded down. My large and my medium suitcase, I was literally right at 50 pounds. Could have been over just a tad, but it was pretty much right at 50 pounds. And I felt bad. And so I did tip my porters a little bit more just because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so heavy. Take care of your porters, guys. They work hard and they are lifting those heavy bags. And honestly, I worried about my luggage. And I did very hard try to make it less luggage, but it just didn't work for me. With it being my first cruise, I definitely overpacked. I wish I had done a before and after packing video, just so you could see how much I overpacked. I am planning on making that a much better process for Alaska, even though I know I'm gonna have to take things that are much warmer, so they're gonna be thicker and heavier. I'm still gonna try to do my best to keep the packing down a little bit. After that, we waited because cousin who drove us there was also going on the cruise with us. So he and my brother-in-law had to go park the vehicle that we rode in, and so we had to wait on them to get back so that we could all go in together. And we all had the same check-in time. I think it was like some of us were 10:30, some of us were 10:45. But anyway, we were all pretty right there together. So we waited on them to get back, and then we went upstairs and went through security, and I wasn't able to video in security. They made me turn my camera off. Anyway, once we got through security, which was actually a really easy process, they scanned my backpack, which was my carry-on basically, and they scanned it through the x-ray machine, and then I had to go through like a metal detector, and then they looked at our passport and our boarding document. And so simple process. Got through that, and then we went over to the terminal at the cruise port, or well, the check-in area. I'm not sure exactly what it was called, but we went to the check-in area. I'm gonna learn all this stuff the more I cruise, y'all. We went over to that area where they also asked for us again, our passport and our boarding documents, and so we gave them that, and then they issued us a cruise card. The cruise card had on it a letter number combination, and basically that was the group that we were in and that they would call us by. What I later learned is that was where our muster station was. That helped us know where to go as soon as we boarded the ship, go to our muster station. Now, keep in mind, we did do our muster drill online prior to getting to the port, because we were notified multiple times, hey, you need to do your muster drill, you need to do your muster drill. And so even though you do it, they're going to keep notifying you need to do it. I don't know why they did that, but it's fine. They just want to make sure people don't forget to do it. So we had ours done by the time we got on the ship, and I did want to say, I did video walking down the gangway, which was pretty cool. I loved it. And then my excitement when I got actually my first foot on the cruise ship, which was so much fun. It was great. It was just the best feeling ever. I don't think once I ever felt nervous being on that cruise ship. I think my excitement took over and it just led the way the rest of the cruise. Once we boarded the ship, we were greeted by the crew, and everybody was so super nice. And we were directed down to our muster station, and it was very easy. We just went over there, they scanned our card, that was it. They basically told us this is where you'll meet if something were to happen, or if we do some type of drill, this is where you'll go. And so that was it. And so after that, we went all over the ship. Of course, the first thing we went to after our muster station was the Lido deck, which was pretty cool. And it was just, I don't know, I think we were all like, let's go swimming. And so most of us kind of went and changed and got in the pool, and then some of us went and toured, and then some of us were in the pool for just a little bit, and then we went and toured the ship, and it was just so much fun. Once we toured the ship, my cousin and I decided, hey, let's go see if our room is ready, because they're supposed to notify you when your room is ready. But when we went to the floor that we were on, the deck that we were on, the door was open. But when we got down to our room, the steward was still in our room working. And so we just said, well, do we need to come back? And she said, no, you can go ahead and bring your luggage in. So she did let us go ahead and bring our luggage in. But I told her, well, the door was open. So we thought, the main door to go down that hall, we thought it was okay. And she's like, no, it's fine. But she was super nice. I think her name was Marianne. I can't remember. So I'll put it here in the video so you can know what her name was. So she was super sweet. So she took great care of us. One thing I do wish that I would have brought were some sticky notes so that we could leave little notes for her as we needed. But otherwise, it was fine. We usually ran into her at some point and was able to ask her for things that we might need. But yeah, she took great care of us the whole time we were there. We had asked for a coffee pot when we got there to have in our cabin, And so she made sure every day that our coffee pot was there, she made sure it was there, but then she made sure every day it was restocked for us. So that was nice. My cousin ended up buying the water package, and they were like aluminum cans, which surprised me because I kept seeing like these cartons, and I was like, I just don't think I would like water out of a carton. But aluminum cans, they weren't too bad actually. I liked it. So we used that to fill our coffee pot with. Now the coffee pot only made about 1 cup of coffee at a time, and it came with the little pre-made coffee in the filter. So you just stick it in there, pour the water in, and hit start. It was pretty cool. Kind of the equivalent to a Keurig, but it wasn't a Keurig, obviously, because it didn't have the pods. It had the little, the filter with the coffee inside it. So that was handy to have in our room. And then we did do a quick little tour of our cabin. I got a little bit of it on video. And after that, we made sure that we went ahead and unpacked and got everything set up, because I've heard many people say, go ahead and get unpacked. That way you can enjoy the rest of your cruise and you're not living out of your suitcase. And so we did get unpacked, and then I think all of us brought our items in packing cubes, which were great because we all had different color packing cubes, and then we assigned each other different places in the closet, different places on the shelving, and so it worked out great. We knew what color our packing cube was, and it was perfect. I nested my luggage. I think we all did actually, because we each brought 2 suitcases and then our backpacks. So we nested our suitcases and then we shoved them under the bed, which was great. Now, I will say we did request ahead of time to have our full-size bed made into twin beds, and they were not done when we got there. So we did have to ask our room steward to split those for us and to put the eggshell mattresses on them for us. So she did that and took good care of us. And then additionally, my niece, who slept on the pull-out couch, we asked if she would bring a eggshell for that as well, and she did. And basically anything we asked for, she did. So that was great. We didn't have to have extra hangers. It seemed like we had plenty of hangers, but we all brought some of those little plastic foldable hangers. Those worked as well. And so we had plenty of room. I mean, honestly, with the amount of clothes we all brought, we had plenty of room, surprisingly. And I do want to apologize, y'all. I don't normally sound like this. I have been under the weather the last week, so I'm not sounding myself, so just please bear with me on that. It came time for the sailaway party. It was a little rainy outside, so they decided not to have it out on the Lido deck, which kind of took away from some of the fun, but it was fine. I mean, I was really looking forward to that, but it was fine. So they brought it inside to the Spinnaker Lounge, which was fun. It had a huge dance floor, and we line danced and just had a good time, honestly. So yes, even though I would have loved to have had it out on the Lido deck, and it just kind of felt that vibe that I've always seen people go, through on these cruises. It's fine. And then, so we hung out quite a bit at Spinnaker Lounge. That's where they did several different things. I think that's where we played bingo. That's where we watched everybody learn how to do the Thriller dance, which was pretty cool. We started to learn it, and then we gave up and got off the dance floor. And then a contest that they had was usually in the Spinnaker Lounge as well. They had like couples challenges and different things. They had a newlywed or not so newlywed game. I can't remember what it was called, but that was pretty fun. And then to watch, I was not in it. Spinnaker's was actually towards the front of the ship, and so that's where you probably would feel the most movement, is when we were at the Spinnaker Lounge. So that was one reason when we did a lot of dancing and stuff on the dance floor, we kind of were like, oh, I think I'm gonna have to go sit down. But it didn't make me sick. It just I was afraid I was gonna fall, honestly. And we were in flip-flops, so that doesn't go well with dancing. Before we went to the pool, we did get something to eat at there was like a little bar area. I don't know if it was the Topsiders bar or I think it was the Great Outdoors bar, maybe. Anyway, it was right there by the pool area, and so we got food because we were starving by that time. Because when we got up early that morning, we got biscuits, but it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. So by the time we got on the board and everything and got moving around, we were hungry. So we did eat there, and then later we ended up going to I don't remember if we went to the Garden Cafe. I think we went to the buffet later. So we just got like a little snack initially and then went to the Garden Cafe for a really good lunch. And then what we decided to do was we made our dinner reservations once they become available on our C days. Because what we didn't want to do, because we had 2 specialty dinings that came with our package that we did. And so we decided to book those on our C days so that when we're at port, we're not rushing to get back for a reservation time. So that worked out really great. So usually on our port days, we would just go to the buffet or go, somewhere else, but not our specialty dining that we had reservations for. Our second day, which was at sea, we had reservations for La Cucina. And La Cucina was so good. It was, I think I had the polo chicken, and I'm not sure if that's exactly what it was called, but it was very good. And then I think I also had the cannoli or the chocolate cake. I can't remember because it's been a while. But I think I got pictures of everybody's desserts, and I can't remember which one I had. But I think I got the cannoli, but it was all very good. And we kind of tasted some of each other's desserts. So that's why I also can't remember. Well, day 2, I think, is when we played bingo, I think. I can't remember the order in which we did everything, but we played bingo like I mentioned earlier. We just kind of took some time to look around the ship, went to the duty-free shop, and I know we learned that when you went to the duty-free shop each day, they had you would get a bracelet. It looks kind of like maybe a dupe for a Vera Bradley bracelet. But anyway, it was a nice rope bracelet, and you got charms. And so you could pay like $5 a charm or maybe $10 for a set of charms. And then each day they said they would have a new one, and it was all like sea life and different things. They were super cute. Or travel. I ended up, myself and 2 of my cabin mates, we all ended up with a full bracelet, or at least a couple of us did. Actually, my cousin ended up buying some for her granddaughters as well. So it was really cute. Did I need it? No, but it was just something neat and a good souvenir to have. So that was fun. And then the next day is when we stopped in our first port, which was the Dominican Republic. So it was Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. I'll never forget getting off that ship and how excited I was. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Even when we were coming into port, it was so cool. Just, seeing everything. And my cousin and I would usually get up pretty early to go try and see the sunrise, but the clouds were usually not that great. And so we didn't get to see the sunrise as much as we wanted to, but we did get some really pretty shots. And then just like I said, just pulling into port was really cool. And so we went to the Dominican, and as soon as we got off the port, we walked around a little bit, looked at some shops. We didn't shop, but we just kind of saw what shops were around, and we just kind of kept following it around. We did not have an excursion book, and we went to Taino Bay. Taino Bay was really cool, and I've had some videos of each port. I actually have a video for each port, so that I'll pop those in so that you can see those specifically and what we did in each port. We went to Taino Bay. It was free. Now, if you ate or drank or anything while you were there, you did have to pay for that. However, just being at the pool that had the hammocks, it had a lazy river, all that was free. So that was really nice. So we spent the day there. And then after that, we shopped around the port, and then we got back on the ship. I will never forget, because I did buy some souvenirs. I left one of my bags that I shopped for at port. It was about $100 worth of clothing and things that I bought for my family. That was a big fail on my part, but I did pay with my credit card, and I was able to get all that squared away. I got my money back, and because the bag got left in the store that I shopped at. So essentially they got their product back. And so my credit card company was good with working with them, and I was able to get that money back. But lesson learned, because I knew as soon as I got back on that ship, I did not have time to go back. So hold on to your things. Hold on to your things. Don't lay them down anywhere. What it was is I had paid, and I had left the store with my bag in tow. And then I went back because I thought of something else. I didn't remember having the bag back in there with me, but I guess I did. I thought I had handed it off for someone to hold, but no, I think I left it laying. Well, I know I did. I left it laying right there on the counter while I was paying for my next item. I even remember saying to the lady, "Is this someone's? Did someone leave this in the store?" And I looked inside to see what the items were. I would have realized they were my items. Lesson learned, got all that squared away, and thankful for my credit card company for taking care of that. Keep a good hold of your products that you buy, especially when you're in port. So then we got back on the ship, which was an easy process getting back on. Of course, you do have to go through security when you come back on. Anything you have with you, they have to run through the x-ray machine, and you have to walk through a metal detector and scan your card. Pretty easy, actually. But that's the slowest part, is just kind of getting through security when you're coming back on the ship. Our next port was at Tortola, British Virgin Islands, and we did have an excursion booked there. We booked the Best of Tortola and Beaches, I think is what it was called. And so as soon as we got off the ship, we met up with our excursion guide, and then we got on this open air type bus, and he took us on a tour of Tortola. Went up in the mountains, which was pretty cool. It was weird. I've never been out of the country, so this is the first time I've ever been driving on or riding on the left side of the road. So that was interesting, to say the least, especially going up curvy mountains. And then, but man, once we got up there, the views were spectacular. It was just unbelievable. The water was just gorgeous from that view. We could even see our ship from that view. But then there was a couple of places he let us out where we got to take some pictures, so that was pretty cool. And then he talked the whole time, so we got a guided tour, and he explained, everything about Tortola, which was really interesting. It was a very interesting tour. Then we got to go to stop at one of the beaches and got to swim for a few hours, which that was awesome. I loved it. That beach was called Long Bay Beach, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. The water was so clear. Now I had brought with me a beach bag, and inside my bag was my full face snorkel, hoping to kind of get to see some stuff there, which little fish, that was about it. I didn't really venture off, but that was cool just to kind of go and, snorkel with the crystal clear water. That was beautiful. I wish I had seen some stuff, but I didn't really venture off away from our little group, and so I didn't get to see a whole lot. And then I brought with me also a blow up float, but it wasn't just any float. There was no way I could blow up a full float. So this was a net, and so on each end was just two little pillows, like a pillow here and a pillow here, that you blow up, and not bad at all. And then there was a net in the middle, and that's what I used to float on in the beach there at Tortola at Long Bay Beach. And so that was great. I mean, that was just the most relaxing time. It was beautiful there. After we left there, we went back down the mountain, which I will say, when those tour guides are ready to get back, they're going fast down those mountains. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but it was fine. We were good. He was really a great tour guide. I can't remember his name, but he was great. So we did make sure we tipped him good when we left. And got back on the ship, and then again, I've got videos that I'll link down below so that you can go directly to those blogs that I did of those individual stops that we made. So the next day, we stopped over in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and that was a great port too. We loved it. We did not have an excursion planned for that port. I was a little nervous. I was thinking we were just gonna kind of walk around the city and take in the sights, do a little bit of shopping. Well, we did, but first, now when you first get off of these ports, at some of them, you're gonna have people who are trying to sell you excursions, and so at San Juan there were a lot of those people. Our whole group went this time. There was like 13 of us, 12 or 13 of us, I think 13. And so we collectively decided and picked an excursion group that was there, and I'll put the name of it here, but we went with him, and y'all, it was great. I was nervous for no reason. At first I was very, very just sick at my stomach, because all I keep hearing is, don't do an excursion that's not with the cruise ship. Don't do an excursion that's not with the cruise ship. Don't do an excursion that's not with the cruise ship. So that's what was drilled into my brain. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going with somebody that's not with the cruise ship. We're not going to make it back. We're going to be a pier runner. I was just a nervous wreck. But y'all, it was great. It turned out great. We had no problem. He took us on a tour of Old San Juan, New San Juan. We got to go over and look at one of the beautiful beaches. We didn't swim, but we got to get off and like look around the area, which is so beautiful. And just learning about Old San Juan and New San Juan it was great. I love the history. And then we got to stop at one of their forts. I don't remember the name. I'll put it here. But it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed going to that port. When we got back, of course, we took good care of our guide. And now I will say this, he did make a deal with us. He gave us a certain price if we rode the bus with just our group, or if we rode the bus with other people being on our bus with us. And so we paid $5 more a piece for it to just be our group. So that was nice just to have us on. I guess we chartered one, if you will. And it was nice. We enjoyed it. And then we got back. He dropped us off and kind of showed us where to go shopping and stuff. So we did a little bit of souvenir shopping there as well. And I didn't lose my bags there, y'all. I made sure they all came with me. And I had to buy new stuff, of course, at that port and some different ports for my kids and my husband, but it was fine. It all worked out great. Got back on the ship and immediately went and got food. We were starving. We wanted to go to Senor Frog's, but we did not at the port, but we did not realize that they were not open anymore there. They had closed down. So that's why we had not eaten. We had been looking for that restaurant and didn't find it. So we ended up getting back on the ship and going to the Garden Cafe and having dinner, we may have went to the main dining room. I can't remember, but either way, we got food. And then had some fun. I think we went maybe to the Bliss Lounge and hung out, and there was karaoke going on, and just had a good time. And one night we watched Elements, and then another night we watched I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up and put it on here for you. But it was like a dancing kind of a show. It was pretty good, but it was okay. But it was something to do that night. And then, so the next day was a sea day. So then that was our day to dress up. So for dinner that night, we all dressed up and got our family photos made. And then we went to dinner at Moderno. Moderno was fabulous. If you like Brazilian steakhouses, then you'll like Moderno. And they just took such great care of us. We all didn't get to sit together, unfortunately. We had most of us at one table and then like 4 of us at another table, but we were right there together. It just wasn't connected, but it was fine. It all worked out great. But again, like I said, they took really good care of us. The crew was fabulous on this cruise and on the Jade. The next day was Great Stirrup Key, or K, Bahamas. Now that one was a little bit different. That was the first time we had to tender to our port, but we got delayed. It was raining and storming, and so the tender process was a little bit chaotic, to be honest, but I didn't have anything to compare it to, so I just kind of went with the flow. But from what I understood, it could have been done a little bit better. And there was just uncertainty if we were even going to get off the ship, just because of the weather. And so we were kind of just a little down about it, because I really, really wanted to see the Bahamas. That was kind of my main reason for going on this cruise, was to be able to go to the Bahamas. So finally, our tender group got called. We took the boat over to the island, and this was Norwegian's private island. So anything you eat or drink carries over into the island, which was great. However, by the time we got there, because we didn't have priority status or anything, so we were a little bit later getting off, and we only had just a couple hours to visit there. We didn't really get to partake in the food, and we basically just wanted to take our time to visit the island, look around, get some pictures, because we were trying to get as much as we could with the weather, trying to hold out. Now we did get some rain. We had some umbrellas and some ponchos, but anyway, it was still beautiful. I just cannot wait to go back and do that again on a beautiful day. So we didn't get to experience the Bahamas like I wanted to, but it was still awesome. What are you gonna do? It's the weather. can't control the weather. So, you know, you just go with the flow. And that's what I'm learning that I'm going to have to do when I take future cruises is there's certain things we have no control over. And we just have to have a good attitude and go with the flow. So we did the Bahamas, then we get back on the next day. That was the 7th day. And we're back in Port Canaveral and we disembarked. The disembark process was so easy. We actually chose to self-disembark. So we did not set our luggage out the night before for the porters, but we just packed up everything, had it ready to go. And when they said we could get off the ship, we got off the ship. And it was easy. I will say taking a large and a medium suitcase and a backpack was a bit much, especially with me being one person trying to take all this stuff off the ship. So again, lesson learned, and I'm hoping to only be able to take maybe a large suitcase and my personal item and a backpack. So we'll see. I got to fly this time. When we go in September to Alaska, I have to fly and I've never flown. So that's going to be another experience I will share with you. So I've got to also keep that in mind when my packing. So I will be glad to share that with you all. If you would like to see a video about me packing for Alaska and my flight, let me know down in the comments, please. And I'll be happy to do that. And if there's anything else on this video that you have questions about, let me know. And I've also got some videos down below that I made about what to bring, some essential things to bring. Now, I will say this. When I watched all the videos about all the essential things to bring, I think I thought everything was essential. And so I brought everything and I did not need all of that. I realized really quickly that I did not need everything that I brought. So that's going to be cut in half as well. Take it from me. Take a good long look at how you normally travel. I know cruising is different, so keep that in mind. Yes, there are certain things you'll bring on a cruise that you won't bring on a normal vacation, like magnet hooks, for example. And the over-the-door hanger, I mean, even with 3 of us, we used it, but we didn't really have to use it, if that makes sense. We just made use of it because we had it. Our hanging toiletry bags, we all had one. Now that was handy. I loved having that. It saved a lot of space for us on the counters in the bathroom. Also, I brought my USB hub, which was perfect. And then bring another like plug-in on that ship. And they did allow us to use them on Norwegian. It was a non-surge protector, like it plugged into the socket, but it had 3 other 3-prong plug-ins that you could use. And then it also had USB and USB-C options on it. And it was made by Cruise On. So I'll show you what that is. I loved my collapsible straws. So those are in the video that I'll share with you. And also I'll link these items below. Those were so handy. I did use a lanyard. That was very handy. I did buy a magnetic wallet that I had attached to my phone at times. Most of the time I did bring my phone with me because I was using it to video along with my GoPro. So having the magnetic wallet was very handy. And carrying my phone around always was not as handy either. So I did get a crossbody bag, like a belt bag that I used to put my phone in sometimes and made it easy just to grab if I needed it. I will say this, the lanyards were great, but keep this in mind, and I don't know if all the ships are the same, but my lanyard had a detachable little piece where I could just take it off and hand it off to whomever was needing my card. Problem with that was every time I turned around, they were needing that card out because they needed to swipe it. So more times than not did I have to take the card out of the little lanyard sleeve. And I just don't think that's as handy. To me, it almost seemed more handy to keep it in my wallet that was magnetic on the back of my phone or just in my crossbody bag. So something to think about. Now, if you could attach your cruise card to the lanyard itself and detach it, and not have it in the little sleeve, that might be even more convenient. I don't know. But that's just my 2 cents worth. The other thing that was very handy, like I mentioned a while ago, was the collapsible straws. They had a little hook, and now that did work great having it hooked to my lanyard, so I carried my straw everywhere I went. But keep in mind, you want to make sure you don't leave it in your glass and it get taken off. That has happened. That happened with me. I did bring about 4 straws. I had extras, but the other thing is you do need to make sure when you take it back to your room that you wash it and clean it good before you use it again. The portable hangers or collapsible hangers. I'll show you those, or I'll link those below. And then I'll also mainly use that. I used even though they had the one clothesline in the shower, I brought my own, which was a bungee cord that had all these little clips. And then you had little sliders on it so you could adjust it however, wide you needed you could space it out the way you needed to. And then we took and we hooked hook here, and hung that little clothesline up in the bathroom, and that worked perfect. We did, when we were at port, now when we were moving, we did not do this, but while we were at port, that morning we would hang our clothes outside on that little thing, and then with the hooks, and then we would take it down before we would leave the port, just so our stuff could dry. Because when you're moving, your stuff could blow off. So just know that. All right, guys, that was a long video, and I'm sorry it was so long, but I just wanted to share with you. I know I shared those videos that go into more, I'm not talking through those videos for the most part. It's more just blogging as far as video. You're just seeing us capturing our moments there. Well, there was a little bit of talking, a little bit of fun, but I just wanted to sit down and go over this with you and tell you how super, super excited I was to go on this cruise, and I cannot wait till my next one. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget, please be sure to click the like thumbs up button, and then also be sure to follow me. If you like this content, or if you would like to see other content, follow me and click that notification bell so that you're notified when I put out something new. And I really, really, really appreciate you guys. Now I did want to mention too, the items that I'm linking below, most everything that I purchased was on Amazon. I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you do purchase something from one of my links, I do make a small commission, maybe enough for a cup of coffee. But it does help my channel, to be honest. And if you don't purchase from that, that's fine. Even if you just get the tips from me and you go buy them on your own, that's perfectly fine too. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching this video, and be blessed. And I'll tell you more about my Alaska cruise coming up soon. Have a great day.